I thought I knew how to spot red flags until I met Claire. This is the story of how I fell for someone who never really chose me and what it cost me to finally let go. I always thought I'd be the kind of person to spot red flags early. You know, the friend who'd shake their head and say, I would never put up with that. Turns out, you don't really see the red flags when you're busy drowning in them. I met Claire at a work conference 2 years ago. She was funny, gorgeous, sharp, the kind of woman who made a room tilt in her direction when she laughed. I wasn't looking for anyone. Actually, I had just gotten out of a 6-year relationship and had sworn off dating completely. But somehow Claire made it all seem harmless. She made me feel harmless. We started as friends, drinks with the group after sessions, late-night texting, inside jokes. Then, one night, she leaned over at dinner, brushed my hand, and said, "You know you're my favorite person here, right?" I was done for. The thing is, Claire had a boyfriend. She was upfront about it. "It's complicated," she said, waving it away like a mosquito. And I, like an idiot, believed her. When the conference ended, we kept talking. FaceTimes at midnight, secret emails. At first, it was thrilling, like living in a separate little world where only she and I existed. I knew it was wrong. I knew it couldn't last. But when she told me she was working on leaving him, it gave me an excuse to stay. 3 months later, she broke it off with him, or so she said. She flew to my city for a weekend to celebrate. It was incredible. The best 48 hours of my life. When she left, she whispered, "I'll be back soon, I promise." Only the next weekend, she stopped answering my calls, said she was busy, said her phone had died, said she was feeling sick. I knew something was off. I could feel it in my gut. But every time I tried to confront her, she turned it around. "You're being paranoid. I left him for you. Why are you trying to ruin this?" And I, desperate, insecure, apologized. It all came crashing down last Sunday. I was scrolling Instagram, half out of habit, half out of hope she'd posted something about missing me. Instead, I found someone else's story. A mutual acquaintance had tagged her in a photo. Claire was standing next to her ex, smiling, wearing a white dress, holding a bouquet. They got married without telling me, without even mentioning him once for weeks. I stared at the picture for a full minute, like my brain couldn't process what my eyes were seeing. When I finally texted her, all I said was, "Congrats on the wedding." She replied 2 hours later, "Sorry you had to find out like this. I didn't think you'd care. It's been 5 days. I still don't know what hurts more, the betrayal, or realizing I was never anything more than a backup plan she didn't even need." I deleted her number, blocked her on everything. But I still keep waking up in the middle of the night thinking I hear my phone buzz. For a second, I hope it's her, apologizing, explaining. Then I remember. And honestly, I don't know if I miss her, or if I just miss the version of myself that believed people were better than this. It was around 2 a.m. when I got the email. Not a text, not a call, an email. Subject line, "Please read." At first, I almost deleted it without opening. I thought it was her, Claire, trying to claw her way back in, but the sender's name made my stomach turn. It wasn't from Claire. It was from her husband. His name was Daniel, and somehow he had found me. The email was short, clipped, and eerily calm. "Hi, you don't know me, but I'm Claire's husband. I think we should talk. I found out some things recently. I have questions. If you're willing to meet, reply to this email. Daniel." I sat frozen in my bed, rereading it over and over. I felt sick. How much did he know? What did he want? Was this a setup? I didn't reply right away. I paced the apartment for an hour, running through every possible scenario in my head. Finally, against every screaming instinct I had, I typed back, "Okay. Where and when?" We agreed to meet at a coffee shop downtown, a public place, neutral territory, somewhere I could run if things went sideways. When I got there, he was already sitting at a corner table, tall, serious looking, dark circles under his eyes like he hadn't slept in days. As I approached, he stood and offered a tight, awkward handshake. "Thanks for coming," he said, voice low. We sat. An uncomfortable silence stretched between us, thick and buzzing. Finally, he slid his phone across the table toward me. Screenshots, dozens of them. Text threads between Claire and me. Emails, pictures, voice notes. My stomach dropped. "She forgot to log out of her iCloud account on our shared laptop," he said. "Everything backed up." I couldn't even speak. I felt exposed, humiliated. "Look," he continued, his jaw clenched, "I'm not here to fight you. I know she lied to both of us, probably to a lot of people." I nodded stiffly. He trailed off, shaking his head like he couldn't believe he was even saying this. "I just need to know how long this has been going on." I told him the truth, every ugly, mortifying detail. How we met, how she said she was working on leaving him, how she played me like a violin. Daniel just sat there, absorbing it. Every once in a while he'd wince, like I was punching him straight in the gut without meaning to. When I finished, he let out a slow, shaky breath. "Thank you," he said finally. I needed to hear it from someone who didn't have a reason to lie to me. He stood up. I thought that was it. But before he left, he leaned down and said quietly, "If she contacts you again, don't answer. She's not done lying. She's just getting started." Then he was gone. And I was left sitting there, wondering how two people could get so completely wrecked by the same woman, and still feel like maybe it was our fault somehow. It had been a few days since I met Daniel. Since that night, I had blocked Claire's number, her email, everything. I wanted no part of her chaos anymore. I wanted to heal, forget, move on. But Claire wasn't the kind of person to let go quietly. It was around 11 p.m. when I heard it. Knocking, sharp, insistent, echoing through my apartment like a threat. At first, I ignored it, pretended I wasn't home, turned off the lights. But then, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. A voicemail popped up almost immediately. I shouldn't have listened. I knew I shouldn't have. But curiosity got the better of me. I pressed play. "Please open the door." Claire's voice cracked through the speaker, desperate. "I need to explain. It's not what you think. You don't understand. Please, please. I have nowhere else to go." I sat there, frozen. Every part of me wanted to shout no. But a small, stupid piece of me remembered the girl I thought I loved, the one who, once upon a time, could make me believe anything. The knocking came again. Quieter this time. Almost pleading. I stood up, walked toward the door. My hand hovered over the doorknob, trembling. Through the peephole, I could see her, disheveled, tear-streaked, hugging herself like she might fall apart right there on my welcome mat. For one insane second, I almost opened it. And then I remembered. The lies, the manipulation, the way she had shattered not just my life, but Daniel's too. I took a deep breath. "Go home, Claire," I said through the door, my voice shaking. She sobbed once, a raw animal sound, then pounded her fists against the door. "Please, you have to listen to me. I'm pregnant." The words slammed into me like a truck. I stumbled back, heart pounding out of my chest. Pregnant? I didn't know whether to laugh, scream, or be sick. "It's yours!" she wailed. I pressed my back against the wall, sliding down to sit on the floor, completely stunned. Pregnant. Mine? Or was this just another manipulation? Outside, I heard her sobbing harder, sliding down the door until she was sitting against it. And that's where we stayed. Me inside, her outside, separated by a thin slab of wood, and a million miles of betrayal. I didn't know what to believe anymore. But one thing was certain. This nightmare wasn't over yet, not even close. I didn't sleep that night. I sat there on the floor, staring at the door long after Claire's crying had faded away. The word pregnant kept echoing in my head like a bad joke. Was it even possible? Or just another one of her traps? I needed answers. Real ones this time. First thing the next morning, I called Daniel. He picked up after 2 rings, his voice wary. "Hey, you okay?" "Not really," I said, rubbing my forehead. "She showed up last night, said she's pregnant, claimed it's mine." There was a long silence on the line. "You believe her?" he asked finally. "I don't know," I muttered. "That's the problem." Daniel sighed. "She pulled the same thing with me," he said. My blood ran cold. "Wait, she told you she was pregnant too?" "Yeah," Daniel said bitterly. "A few months ago. Then conveniently had a miscarriage when I started asking for proof. Look, man, she's a master manipulator. She knows exactly what to say to keep you on the hook." I slumped against the counter. God. Of course she had. It was all just another performance. I felt this mixture of rage and heartbreak boiling together inside me until I didn't know which one would win. "You need to get a paternity test," Daniel said, his voice hard. "If she's actually pregnant, and whatever you do, don't let her guilt you into anything before that." I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. "Thanks, man," I said hoarsely. "I don't know what I'd do without you." Daniel chuckled grimly. "Probably end up married to a pathological liar and raising someone else's kid." The scary part was, he wasn't wrong. After we hung up, I gathered myself enough to text Claire from a burner number. I told her bluntly, "If you are truly pregnant, I'll need proof. Medical documentation. And a paternity test once the time comes. No discussions until then." She didn't reply right away. Hours passed. Then a single text came through. "You're a monster." That was it. No confirmation, no willingness to prove anything, just more guilt-tripping. I felt something in me finally snap. I was done playing her games. About a week later, just when I thought things were cooling down, Claire ambushed me again. This time at my office. She showed up unannounced, makeup smeared like she'd been crying for hours, holding a crumpled piece of paper in her hand. Security called up to let me know she was causing a scene in the lobby. I could have told them to escort her out. God knows I should have. But some stupid part of me, the part that still remembered the girl I thought I knew, made me go down. When I got there, she shoved the paper at me. It was a printed ultrasound. No name, no date, no identifying information whatsoever. "See?" she shrieked, loud enough for people to turn and stare. "I told you, you're the father." I didn't even blink. "Where's the medical documentation?" I asked coldly. "Where's your name on it?" Her face crumpled. I didn't think you'd need all that," she stammered. "I just wanted you to believe me." I stared at her, finally seeing her clearly. The desperation, the lies barely stitched together, the total lack of shame. "Claire," I said quietly, "this is over. Whatever fantasy you're living in, it's not reality anymore." Her expression shifted in an instant, from desperate to furious. "You ruined my life," she screamed. Security moved in, but I raised a hand to stop them. "You ruined your own life," I said, voice like ice. "I just finally stopped letting you ruin mine." Then I turned and walked away, leaving her standing there sobbing and cursing my name. But even as I got into my car, hands trembling, a tiny voice in my head whispered, "This isn't over." And it wasn't. Because 3 days later, I got a letter in the mail. A legal letter. Claire was suing me for emotional damages. And attached to the letter was a name I didn't recognize. Andrew Tate. Not the internet guy. A different Andrew Tate. Apparently, Claire had married him 3 months ago. In another state. Without ever telling me. Without telling anyone. And Andrew was filing for annulment, claiming Claire had defrauded him too. That's when it hit me. Claire wasn't pregnant. Claire wasn't even really with me anymore. Claire was a professional con artist, and I was just another stop along the way. After getting that letter, I did something I never thought I'd do. I called Andrew Tate, the real one, the one Claire had secretly married. At first, he was suspicious. Didn't blame him. But once I explained my side of the story, he opened up fast. Turns out Andrew had met Claire on a business trip. She had spun him a story about escaping an abusive relationship, starting fresh. He fell for it, hard, married her after just 3 months. Then, almost immediately, the lies started unraveling. Maxed out credit cards he didn't remember using, random men calling his phone, asking for Claire, bank accounts emptied without explanation. He'd hired a private investigator before filing for annulment. And the things he found. They made my stomach churn. Claire had a record. Nothing major. Little charges scattered across different states. Fraud, identity theft, false claims of pregnancy to squeeze money out of men. Andrew and I realized we weren't even the first. We were just the latest in a long, ugly pattern. We should work together, he said grimly. She's been doing this for years. Maybe if we both press charges. I hesitated. A part of me just wanted to wash my hands of it, disappear, pretend it never happened. But the other part, the angry part, the part that hated how much of myself I had given away to her lies, that part wanted justice. Real, final justice. I'm in, I said. We spent the next 2 weeks gathering everything we could. Emails, text messages, bank statements, testimonies from others she'd conned, people we built a case, a real one. By the time we were ready, Claire was already slipping, posting vague, panicked rants on social media about haters and fake friends, dropping hints about moving abroad to start over, trying to liquidate everything she had left. It was obvious. She knew her world was crumbling. And then, the final straw. One of Andrew's friends, who worked in law enforcement, confirmed Claire had bought a one-way ticket to another country. She was planning to run, but not before squeezing a little more cash out of her latest online boyfriend, some poor guy she'd met on a sugar daddy website. The whole thing made me sick, but it also made me more determined. Andrew filed a full report. I filed my own. Our evidence packages were ironclad. Claire wasn't just going to skip town this time. There were warrants out before she even got on the plane. The night she tried to leave, she was arrested at the airport, in front of everyone, handcuffed, crying, screaming about how she was pregnant and being abused. But this time, nobody believed her, not even herself. The day Claire was arrested, it felt like the world finally tilted back into place. But closure doesn't come all at once. It comes in pieces. She spent a few nights in jail before posting bail, courtesy of her new online boyfriend, who still somehow believed her lies. It didn't matter. The case against her was airtight. Fraud, identity theft, attempted flight to avoid prosecution. It stacked up fast. Andrew and I both testified. It wasn't easy, sitting there, facing her again, hearing her spin more lies, pretending she was the victim, watching her fake tears in front of the jury. But this time, the truth had weight behind it. The jury saw right through her. She was convicted on multiple counts, sentenced to several years. It wasn't life. It wasn't enough to erase everything she'd stolen, from me, from Andrew, from all the others. But it was something. It was justice. After the trial, Andrew and I kept in touch for a while. We even joked about starting a support group, Claire's Survivors Club. But eventually, life pulled us in different directions. He moved out of state. I sold the house. Too many memories poisoned the walls, and started fresh somewhere new, somewhere quiet, somewhere I could breathe again, sometimes late at night. I still think about her, about the way she smiled, about how real it all felt, until it wasn't. I wonder if she ever regrets it, if she ever feels the weight of everything she destroyed. But then I remember, people like Claire don't feel regret, only hunger, only need, and maybe, in some small way, knowing I escaped is the real victory.